You are now listening to Ride With Me, the Flat Tire Nerdy Podcast.
Welcome to Ride With Me, episode 25. Today is October 17, 2020. October already, bro.
It's crazy, man.
Dude, how does year go?
Well, as far as 2020 goes, let's just get this shit over with. That's
Right.
what I'm saying right now.
Right?
Bring it on 2020. What more disasters could we possibly have worse than 2020 and 2021?
We've had a couple earthquakes already.
I know.
I'm still waiting for the gremlins to pop up in December.
Hey, tsunamis have never hit California. Bring it on 2021, right? There you go.
Right.
Shit. Tornadoes coming
Actually,
up.
it's funny because Nick mentioned that yesterday. Because I said, man, I wish we should have never left Oxnard. And Nick's like, yeah, well, we would have been taken out by a tsunami. It hasn't happened yet, right? We've been out here for 3 years. Not a tsunami has hit once. So shut it, kid.
Oh, he's already predicting. You got a little Nostradamus right there
Yeah.
predicting what's about to happen in 2021.
No, my kid's going to be a little smart ass every once in a while. Anyways, today on the podcast, I have my cousin Jay.
Hey, what's going on, people?
But a little recap from last weekend's Officer Ricky's wedding. For those of you who have been listening, yes, I had a cigar with the guy. Maybe a quarter of the cigar I smoked. Dude, that shit was disgusting.
Dude, I don't think people really smoke cigars for the taste anymore.
I don't
It's
even
just-
know. I don't
you
even.
smoke or celebrating the championship
Dude,
or celebrating a wedding.
My wife looked at me so disgusted, like, but she knew that, you know, I play ball, and I felt guilty. Sorry, Ricky. I threw that damn thing away. I threw it in freaking water and tossed that thing in the trash. I'm like, I'm gonna have to reimburse him for that one because I don't know how much it cost. So I did smoke a cigar, like I said, a quarter of the cigar, not even that much.
Did you feel like a man though inside?
I
Don't
felt
lie.
disgusted, bro.
Felt disgusted.
I found bubble gum. I found gum in the freaking living room. I don't know whose gum that was, but it's already licked. Fuck it. I'm just.
Congratulations, you felt like a man then. The way what you just described right there is awesome.
So yeah, no, I freaking chewed gum, and then I found they had like bunk cakes, and like, well, I gotta get the taste out of my mouth. Damn it, this is disgusting,
No, man, you smoke a cigar, it's gonna linger in there for about a week or two.
dude.
So.
It's a, and I said it at his wedding. It is a nasty tradition. It's disgusting, but it is what it is. I did it. We did also play beer pong, and sad news is I am no longer undefeated.
Oh, hey, man. Hey,
Eh.
listen, it's not that bad, but the moment your kids beat you, that's when you know it's bad, right there.
Dude, he finally got me. We played 3 games. I'm still 2-1, but that one is what's killing me.
Hey, let me ask you something. As far as talking about kids, because your boys are getting towards that age now where they're obviously getting older, and I know you're probably still dunking on them in basketball or like taking it to them whenever you guys are playing sports.
Homie, my knees shot out. They dunk on me.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, at what point do you realize as a dad, you're sitting there and you're like, damn,
You
my
would
kids are way better than me now at sports.
You would assume that beer pong is not a competitive sport, dude. The shirts were flying off. Freaking tie came off. Dude, I'm dripping in sweat.
Somebody's Tanya Harding, your kid right there, is just going out. You slip the neighbor a $2 bill. You're like, you don't know how much this is worth. Take out his knees
Right.
now.
Even yesterday. So okay, so there's the wedding. So yesterday, you know, sorry for the clean invites, people, but we are in a freaking pandemic. So it was just my wife's siblings, so my in-laws.
Which apparently doesn't. I don't fit that category as a.
Sorry, bro. You're the cousin. You're not the. You're not the brother-in-law.
Got it. There you go.
Yesterday again, you know, we had a nice little thing here. You saw the Harry Potter bullshit, and actually pretty cool. I was a villain, so I liked it. And again, beer pong came up. I lost to Mauricio, bro. I lost to my father-in-law. I freaking retired. I'm done.
Yeah, no, hang it up. Hang it up after
I'm
that.
done, dude. 3 losses in my career. I'm done. Beer pong is over, guys. I'm retiring.
Hey, what's the? I gotta ask, man. Why the Harry Potter theme when you know damn well when no Mexicans invited to Hogwarts? You know what I'm talking about? Harry. Let's be honest, right there. Harry's girlfriend was like Korean in that movie.
Homie.
I saw a couple black chicks there, but when you talk about, you know, there were no Latinos. I didn't see, you know, Harry Potter, right? It wasn't pronounced like that. I don't know why we.
Myself and my boys blend in. You know, we already got the
True
skin.
that, yeah, you got that
Jojo and I
Spanish-
got the eyes.
You got
know?
that, yeah. You got that Spanish skin right there.
No, it was. I guess my sister-in-law, the birthday girl, she's just hardcore into Harry Potter.
Could be, yeah. I just never understood that. I was like,
you know, I'm getting cousins hitting me up on Facebook or Instagram. They're like, dude, your wife did amazing. Like, just like the little candles are hanging off the canopy, like they're floating.
you guys ran into a brick wall trying to go into the other side.
I wasn't that stupid, bro. I learned from a week ago when I was trying to try
like,
it out.
how much into Harry Potter did you guys get, right? Did you guys enslave a little elf and then have him give him a sock? What'd you guys do?
I tried to get my buddy to come in a costume. I'm like, dude, you can be Dobby. And when I learned who Dobby was, he's like, no, your wife said I didn't have to come dressed up.
I was like, somebody's ex-boyfriend showed up. He who shall not be named. Is that what? Yeah. Like, I want to know how much into character did you go with this? Like, who was Hagrid? Let's be honest. Who was the hairy motherfucker that showed up? Right? With the cake, the birthday cake shoved down his pants. Who
Dude,
was
like the boys, Nick had a black wig on, Jojo had a blonde wig on. I freaking got the mask for Vandermort, whatever his name is.
Oh, yeah, we can't say his name, remember?
And Vandermort, is it Mort at the end with a T?
The hell if I know, dude. I don't know.
I've never watched a Harry Potter movie. I watched 2 of them, no, 1.5 since Tuesday. And I had to get prepared for my role.
1.5 since Tuesday. Folks, for those of you guys who are listening, that's as long as it takes to watch 1.5 Harry Potter movies. It's a few days. Those things are long right there, man.
Yeah. Well, I had to sit through the Lord of the Rings movies. Woo! One of them was like 6 hours.
You know, I take a lot of flights, and sometimes they're long hours, 15, 16 hours. And sometimes people ask me, like, how do you sleep on those flights? I say, man, muscle relaxers and Lord of the Rings movies. You start from Lord of the Rings 1. By the time you get to the Desolation of Smaug, you've already flown all the way around the world, man. Like right there, those movies,
they're long.
Go a long time. I mean, you're going to the Hobbits, like you were wasting like 20 hours. It's all good. Don't get me wrong. The action's amazing. The talking I can do without, but you put that on, and the moment you hear like "Once Upon a Time in a Shire," I'm like, ooh, I'm getting relaxed, feeling good, man.
Yeah, and then my buddies hit me up. All right, cool. Now watch the Hobbits. I look 3 hours. No, I'm done. Past 3 hours. I'm done. There's movies that I will sit through and rewatch multiple times. Back to the Future, multiple times. I'm actually kind of hating that they're filming something Back to the Future related in Puente Hills, and I haven't driven over there to check it out.
Well, that's where they filmed the first one.
The first one.
Yeah.
Twin Pines or whatever.
Yeah.
So, Lord of the Rings would not be a movie that I would sit through and watch it again. I know the story. I know what happens. I may not know lines from the movies like the family likes to do, but I will not sit there to learn lines. If I want to learn a line, I just Google the bitch.
Just YouTube the battle scenes. That's what anybody does nowadays, right? Just YouTube the battle scenes.
All I know is that Ned Stark dies in all his movies. Lord of the Rings is one of them.
For those of you guys who are listening, Puente Hills, I know it's like, oh wow, they're filming a movie. It must be nice. I don't know, man. This neighborhood is changing though a little bit, but I feel right at home when my boy Flat Tire Andy invites me over and he says, "Can you get a little earlier so that way the chickens and roosters don't make so much of a noise?" So I should explain to you guys the neighborhood we're in right now, man. I got out the freeway, man. My windows went up and my credit score went down right here the moment I showed up. It's bad, man.
My boss came over. See how I have repack like boxes and stuff for work?
Yeah.
My boss hit me up a couple weeks ago and he's like, "Hey, dude, you happen to have any Modelo 24-pack boxes?"
Mm-hmm.
I have a handful. He goes, "Can I come grab them?" I'm like, "Well, I gotta drive back home because I don't have them on me."
Mm-hmm.
Pull up, come inside the garage, grab them, take them back to him, and he's like, "Dude, is there a horse around here somewhere?" I'm like, "I think the block over has horses, but not our block." He goes, "It smells like a barn. I love it." I'm like,
and just so you know, there isn't a lot of horses here. It's not that type of a neighborhood where you got people with ranches. No. They probably smuggled this horse here. It's around there, man. But I love it. Hey, I parked my car in the front lawn just to add flavor to the neighborhood.
I told him, dude, just bring it inside, dude. Bring it inside.
He told me right here, bring it inside.
I don't even let anybody park on the lawn. And yesterday, 4 cars were on the lawn. I just bring them all in. Bring your Teslas in the car. Bring them in.
I saw 10 guys working out in the front yard. It was crazy right now, man. So yeah, showed up. I had to give my boy Andy some love and buy some roses from the guy on the street. So
right there, you go. But like I said, your dad it was his idea to have you on here, and I like I told your dad, I'm at the point where I'm like, well, if I ask people to come, I feel like I'm begging. Where now I feel comfortable kind of recording on my own. Mm-hmm. And I did one a couple weeks ago by myself. I pulled like 28 minutes of audio by myself. I felt proud of myself. But I was like, you know what? Yeah, let me hit him up because I like the fact that your Spanish wasn't like my Spanish. The fact that you spoke Spanish.
Yeah.
And he speaks like freaking from Colombia. Until I learned, I'm like, "Babe, what's wrong with your cousin? Like, something like, does he need help?"
He has a speech impediment. What is going on?
So, dude, what made you go to Colombia? And I mean, I damn well know that you met your wife out there, which was amazing.
Yeah, I did meet my wife there. So, I mean, we're gonna get into it. So I'll go ahead and say it now. So I am a teacher, and that's essentially what brought me over to Colombia. Isn't that sad that my first real teaching gig had to be out of country because the way that they, look for teachers here in California, and pretty much I'm pretty sure for the rest of the United States, it's probably typical of any job where, oh, you need to have so many years of experience. And I'm like, dude, I just left, my teacher credential program. So you have to give me that experience, So I was able to get an opportunity down there while I was actually just traveling down there to celebrate leaving my teaching credential program and whatnot. And, long story short, I fell in love with the culture and everything down there. And again, they were the first ones to say, hey, we know you're a new teacher. We're down to give you some experience. And it was an American school. So it was like a bilingual school. Like the kids that graduate from there, they get obviously the diploma from, the Colombian, so on and so forth. But they also got a diploma from Atlanta, Georgia. Go figure. Apparently there was like a school district in Atlanta, Georgia that partnered with them. In Colombia. Yeah. So this is kind of places where like, it's a long story, but the second school that I was at down there, that's the type of place where like doctors, lawyers, politicians would like send their kids to like study in.
Really?
So yeah, so it was a very prestigious type of a school. Like we had like watchtowers, like barbed wire, cinder block fences all the way, like huge security. Like you had to sign in, show your ID, everything. You couldn't come in with shorts. You had to be like in jeans. You had to look professional, wear uniform and everything like that. And then the mayor's kid actually went there, and he had his bodyguard that was actually, because kidnappings in Colombia are unfortunately very prevalent. And his bodyguard with
strapped wife
would be, I know, right? Little did she know. She should have took the blue pill. No, so she went in. Not she. So yeah, the mayor's son, who was a 7th grader at the time, his armed bodyguard would just be chilling inside the class in my buddy's classroom, and he would just like take pictures of this guy with like a gun, like asleep in the classroom, just snoring like loud.
Well,
and just to make sure that nobody's like tries to kidnap. If he went on field trips, bodyguard went with him.
Damn.
Motorcade type deal like that. So it was pretty funny. So, anyways, yeah, man, I made my way in Colombia because this was a little bit after the Great Recession. So some people say it's like, because they were still pink slipping teachers. Pink slipping meaning that they're still kind of laying off teachers and whatnot.
Yeah.
But realistically, now that I've gone 8-9 years into the profession, I can pretty much see it to where it's just that the hardest thing is just getting your foot in the door.
And here's the thing that I always said about this family. Like when I say there's doctors, teachers, police officers, surgeons, this family has it all. And you being a teacher, and Moyo being a teacher, and my cousin that lives out here also being a teacher, I feel like that's kind of turning Nick into wanting to be a science teacher. Like he's thinking about being a science teacher.
Walk away. walk away right now. Well, if he's leaning right, go left, man.
He's not going to be able to direction, bro. He's not going to be able to listen to this podcast until he's 18.
Oh,
no. By then, well, he might still have a chance. But it's whatever. Like that's what I'm saying. Like you don't see those. I mean, no. I'm not going to hate on Oxnard, but in my own family or friends or stuff like that, all I see in Oxnard are military folks. A lot of people just go to military because we live by a base.
Yeah.
So I don't see doctors and lawyers and stuff like that out there. And if they are, it's because they're outsiders,
Yeah, and listen, I'm not, obviously if your boy wants to become a teacher, if you reach out to me for help to help him out with and just kind of guide him, obviously I would do that in a heartbeat. The reason why I said don't do it is because, again, it's that, like I said, going back to it, I had to leave the country to be respected as a teacher. Here we see teachers as kind of like either an inconvenience. They get summers off, you know what I mean, like that. So it's like, we don't care. Why are they complaining? You know what I mean, like that. You're like, oh my god.
I didn't know you were gonna bring your voices. I like it.
Okay, all right, cool, yeah. But it's just like, you get those type of people. But over there, they called me profe, man. Like it was weird. Like the way you call somebody doctor, so on and so forth. Obviously, I'm not on the same level as a doctor, but you know who taught a doctor? A teacher. So let's just go back to that if we're going to break it down. You know what I'm saying? So it's like over there, it was almost like, it was interesting. They everybody in the town that I was at wasn't a big town. They knew me as the teacher. They not necessarily that I was
like
treated as,
it's like a freaking.
It was like an honorable profession. Like they treated you like, oh wait, so you're going to educate our kids. So why are we going to try our best to like nickel and dime you out of everything? Let's give you the resources that you need, the support that you need. And that's really, I think, what most teachers want.
I think Ryan Reynolds should go to like Colombia and make like a movie of the teacher. That'd be badass.
Yeah, and then, hey, with because we can't find any Latino actors outside of Michael Pena. So we'll give Ryan Reynolds a.
Michael Pena's funny, bro.
We'll dye his hair a little bit more black right there. Oh, it's so funny. It's kind of on a random thing about actors taking roles of minorities, man. Which to me, I don't really care. You know what I mean? It kind of shows off your acting skills. Who gives a shit? But like me and my brother talking about how you remember the whole Thailand where the boys were stuck in that cave like 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
They're saying they want to make a movie about it. And we were just laughing. We were like, hey, man, we're gonna have The Rock as the guy who saves the kids. We're like, this got to be a Hollywood movie. So like two of the boys while they're in the cave are gonna have a love story. They're gonna fall in love with the forbidden love in the cave. We're gonna Scarlett Johansson's gonna be the teacher that gets them all together. They're gonna have 0 Thai actors in that whole damn movie.
Titanic all over again.
Exactly. You know?
Freaking, but back to your Colombia story, bro.
Yeah,
We're getting out of here.
I know.
I try to keep it to a few topics. We're all over the place now. But we did start with movies, so
okay, good. Yeah,
so we're good. Were you the one that tried the Colombian coffee for the first time?
No. And that's the crazy thing, you know. I hate coffee, and as a teacher, I know that's
sacrilegious. Yeah, I know. I went and bought coffee. And
this guy buys me coffee. He's like, "Who's a teacher?" Remember, teachers like coffee and Diet Coke. So as you can see, I gravitated towards the Coke Zero thing. So
there's some Cokes in the cooler outside.
We have the worst diets in the world, man. You always see like, why is my teacher 800 pounds when every single time I see her, she's eating baby carrots? You're like, because when school's out, you know, and all that stress, she's snacking down double Big Macs like it's going out of style. Like that's just. That's how it works, man. It's no stressful.
Wonder you wanted to keep your name on the low.
It's stressful, man. Yeah, it's stressful.
So, how long were you in Colombia for?
So I was there for 2 years.
2 years?
Yeah.
And in 2 years, you managed to snag your wife?
Yeah. Well, you know what? Okay, so I went to Colombia first to meet up with my brother. Yeah, my brother was he was traveling the world. And
he's in Australia right now, right?
He's in Australia right now.
I think he's my one download in Australia.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah,
because I have an Australia download. I'm like, and then
there's some guys like,
keep listening, fool.
Yeah, there's some guys like, oh yeah, Andy, I thought we had some connection between us. Talking about your brother.
How come he doesn't come talking like that? You have a Colombian accent. He doesn't have an Australian accent.
I don't know. It's probably some Aussie right there.
Speaking of that, real quick, throw in some Spanish, bro.
Man, you're putting me on the spot right here.
Sorry, bro. El baño está sucio y podrido. I don't know. ¿Dónde está el sanitario? There you go. Do that one from Encino Man.
Okay. Bueno, si ustedes quieren que hable un poquito colombiano, pues aquí estamos con mi parcero aquí, Andy. But you know, I don't know. I guess
that's cool, bro.
Yeah, it changes with each one. Like obviously, you know, when you're talking to your grandma, you're gonna go in a lighter voice. You're not gonna curse. You know, you're talking with your friends. You're gonna. I mean, if you got a white friend, you're gonna try to use big words that have more than 4 syllables.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, you talk to your Mexican friends, you're just gonna be saying.
I'm like that. I like. I'm like that when I walk into my accounts and I'm selling their beer, and if I walk in and I feel that this person can speak Spanish, then I feel comfortable throwing Spanish.
Yeah.
And even my white boss once back in the day, he was like, I'm not trying to be disrespectful towards you.
No, yeah.
I'm just comfortable speaking Spanish to them because they're gonna feel comfortable with me.
Yeah, it's all about comfort level.
And it's like, that's what makes you a good salesman.
What's up? Wait, like, hey, if you were able to
Chris Smith,
around,
Chris Smith, you need to learn some Spanish, bro.
Yeah, like if I was around a bunch of family, and obviously family being Mexican and everything, you know, if hombre no vale madre, no, it's you start kind of just throwing it out or whatever. But since I, you know, speak with my wife who's from Colombia, and that's, you know, obviously you mimic what you hear like a parrot, you know, when you're speaking a different language. So I guess it'd be no different than, I'm sure if somebody moved to like England for a few years, they met, you know, a woman over there, they married a girl in England and they brought her back, their kids are going to obviously mimic what their mom says. So they're going to have that kind of an accent. But once they go to school and everything, they kind of lose it, you know, but they're probably still going to say water or something like that, you know.
That's the one thing that I know I've had a rough relationship with my mom back in the days, but that is the one thing that I am grateful for her. Am I saying that right? That the fact that she told everybody he'll learn English in school.
Yeah.
So she she only spoke to me in Spanish.
It'll be a teacher's job to teach you.
Pretty much.
On minimum wage. I gotta teach this kid a whole new language.
Right. Right now,
$5 an hour.
My grandma calls me and she tries to talk to the boys and she speaks English, but she says they don't speak Spanish. That's your fault. I'm like, whoa. Sorry. My son's middle name is Andrew because Andres was too paisa for the mom. So, yeah, who do you think? I can only control what I can control. And now that I have them, I mean, I'm trying to Dude, the other day I freaking woke up and I was listening to nothing but Selena and freaking Bronco and Los Bookies. And
Yeah.
I'm like, you guys have to learn one new word from each song. That meant love. Okay, cool. He learned one word. Next one.
What is puta? I don't know what that word is. What is
Not that kind of music, bro. I don't have Eminem in español.
What is recostada en la cama? I'm still trying to figure out. Oh, yeah, like, okay.
But how long did it take you to back to your story, bro? We're going on freaking loops here.
Hey, man, who cares? Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
How long did it take you to meet your wife when you were out there?
So,
Were you her
okay, yeah, I was saying,
teacher?
so my brother, no. So again, so I went out there to hang out with my brother, right? So there, I meet a girl, you know, everything's, turns out to be my wife. So I meet her, and
My tocaya.
yeah, so it's literally just like a kind of like a little meet and greet. Like, you know, you meet somebody, you talk to them for a few hours, probably never ever talk to this person again because I left her my number. You know what I mean? Because I'm too much of a bitch to try and ask a girl for her number. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I still can't take. Hey, I'm married and I still don't like rejection. You know what I mean? Like that. And nobody likes rejection. And hey, shout out to everybody out there who can actually take rejection on the chin. But I'm not one of those. Like, I get really like nervous and scared.
I was recently asked, how is it that you can act like a 15-year-old kid while you're driving alone in your car, but you can't act like that in front of your wife?
Yeah. It's hindsight.
I
Everything's
just
hindsight.
can't.
You ever give somebody advice and you're like, as if you would do that? You're like,
Oh.
oh, you should have asked her for her number. It's like, you know, damn well, you wouldn't have gonna ask her for her number if it was you.
How do you think it's gonna feel? How do you think it's gonna feel if I'm in the kitchen making breakfast and shit, and then I'm like, as long as you love me, and the wife gives you that look like, the fuck you listening to? I'd rather listen to as long as you love me in my car by myself. Nobody listens.
No
But just-
judging. No
exactly.
judgment, yeah.
No judgment. Just probably my boy Scotty up in heaven say, what the fuck, mas puto.
Yeah, well, it's like I said, dude. Whenever you retell the story, you retell it the way you wish it would have gone down.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about? Like, nah, so that guy was like 6'9", but I didn't give a damn, and I told that fool, like, I'll meet you in the parking lot, but he bitched out. When you know damn well you're in the car with like 911 emergency response, please stay on the line. Stay on the line.
Oh
You may
my
have a gun.
God,
Like
dude.
that. Yeah. So anyways, I meet her. And I get a call like 2-3 days later to come back and interview for this job. So I was like, oh, wow. And this is the job, that I really want at a school that I really want. And again, at this time, getting an interview at a school as a new teacher is virtually next to nothing. A lot of competition for a job that doesn't pay anything. So I fly back, right? I don't get the job. And then I'm like, okay, well, I'm already here. So let me go ahead and just like apply for a bunch of other jobs. The thing with being a teacher is there's only like a 2-month window of hiring, and then you got to wait for the following year. They're not hiring teachers in October unless somebody's pregnant or
No,
somebody
I
just
know.
says like, screw it, I quit, I leave, and they do that. But it's very rare.
I got you on that one because I believe you because my wife, who studied to be a teacher and she has like credits like there's no tomorrow. Like, oh, you're overqualified. Why? Well, we need 12 credits. Okay, you have 60. What?
How's that a
Dude,
bad
that's
thing?
the teacher you want to have. That's the one you want to have. So-
Overqualified?
Overqualified
That's the
because she has
dumbest thing I've ever
Thank
heard.
you.
Like, I wanted to sleep with you, but your car's too nice, your bank account's too big,
Wow.
and something.
Well,
When you compared it to a horse, I didn't know you were realistically talking.
He's not
like
talking about
this.
me, guys, because I have a CRV and I'm not loaded. Anyways,
right.
yeah, so she's overqualified. So then, back in March, she finally, has multiple interviews coming up, and it's like, well, COVID hit, so we're gonna pause all the interviews and stuff like that. So I freaking believe what you're saying because now she's pretty much have to wait till a year later to start applying all over.
Yeah,
again.
I mean, you can get away with anything with that COVID excuse. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, look, obviously it's a serious thing and everything like that. But
Like, we don't really want family around, so I'm blaming it on COVID.
Exactly. You ghost a girl. Like, why didn't you text me back? Social distancing, text messaging. I'm trying to do my part. You know what I mean? The COVID, right? Oh, I understand. You know what I mean? You gave me chlamydia. Social distancing, COVID. You know what I mean? I didn't want to. I was gonna give you worse, but I didn't. You're welcome. I'm being nice. That's why I walked. That's why I stepped away.
Here's a problem.
You've abandoned your baby. COVID distancing. I'm trying to put myself between me and the child I don't want to love. You know what I'm saying?
Here's a problem that I'm making right now.
Oh, what's
Every
up?
time I interrupt you, we go into a different loop.
Hey, man.
Can you get back to your wife, please?
Sick. So, anyways, I knocked her up. No, I'm just kidding. No, that didn't happen. No, we don't have any kids. Thank God.
Dude, every
Bro,
time,
let's just freestyle this, man.
just go.
Honestly, let's go for it. Virtual learning. Let's move on to topic. Virtual.
just go with your wife. How you met your wife? And,
Okay.
and then
Anyway,
we'll
so
go into virtual learning.
I didn't get any interviews over here, and so I was like, man, screw it. Like, I'm gonna go back and enjoy my vacation in Colombia. So I went down to Colombia to enjoy my vacation. By this time, my brother, who I was already meeting up with, was in Brazil. And so I'm just kind of alone in this country, and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna hit up the only person I know here, and that's that girl that I met.
Yeah.
And, you know, while I'm here, it was like I bought a one-way ticket. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, that's not true. You have to buy a return ticket, but if you cancel within 24 hours, like then they let it slide. So anyways, you know, I basically a one-way ticket down there, and I kind of just, as I'm there, you know, I'm like, man, I got nothing waiting for me back, you know, in America. I'm here, and traveling alone is cool. Don't get me wrong. You know, I've done it before. I wouldn't recommend it to everybody unless you're really comfortable being independent. So everybody thinks that you're just kind of like partying and drinking, all this kind of stuff. That's mostly in the nighttime. But what do you do during the day? Or you see the sights, but sometimes you either knock all that out in like a week or so, or it's like ridiculously expensive, you know?
Yeah.
So to me, I was like, all right, what am I going to do during the day, you know? Well, I'll tell you what, man, screw it. There's a couple of schools in the area. I bought a tie. I bought a shirt. I mean, it's like 180 degrees and humidity over there, so it wasn't the smartest move. And so I just go and, you know, I started knocking on doors. And I was just Jehovah Witnessing, you know, different types of schools down there and everything.
Yeah.
And eventually somebody opened the door, and I saw a guy, and he had a Denver Broncos hat.
Oh,
And-
you felt like home.
And I was just like, and he was a white guy, okay, Mr. Kim, one of the nicest human beings I've ever met wherever he's at. And the first thing I do is they had a bad year that year, and I just started shitting on the Broncos in front of this guy, and he's just like, who the heck is this guy?
Yeah.
Because, you know, I look like everybody down there a little bit, you know. Obviously there's a difference between
You can
Colombians
blend in,
and I
is what
can
you're
blend
saying.
in. So to him, he's all like, who's this guy? You know, and to him, with California English, so he tells me, hey, what part of California are you from? I'm like, Southern California. Oh, I'm from Salinas, from Northern California. I was like, no shit. He was the director, the principal, the main guy of that school. So he's like, hey, come in. And, you know, they let me in. I don't know, halfway strip search me to go inside the school. I go inside this guy's office, and we literally talk about sports and football and baseball. He's a Giants fan and everything
Yeah.
from Northern California for like the next, I'm not even joking, like 3 hours. Like his secretary's like, there's a fight in the quad. He's like, yeah, you take care of it. Anyways, so you need to tell me John Elway's not the greatest. That's how we talked. And, you know, like, sir, they're sending, you know, building A is on fire. Yeah, go ahead and take care of it. There's a fire extinguisher outside. Anyway, so like we're going back and forth, and I'm sitting there, and then finally he's just like, well, this was an interesting interview. And I was like, interview? What the hell? Like, I thought we were just like, I had my resume and everything like that. And I was like, yeah, I didn't even give him my resume. We were just talking. And, you know, one thing, so tell me about, you know, kind of like how we're doing. Tell me about why you're here. And then we just went on giant tangents, but it was about sports. And thankfully, you know, I knew about sports. Side note, I figure if like you're new to somebody or you meet somebody, even if it's a different culture or whatever, if you know sports or music, you can get along with anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't even have to like the same teams. But if you're just like, hey, I guess our wives or girlfriends are friends. Yeah. You like the Lakers? Fuck the Lakers. All right, let's get into it. You know what I mean? Like that. And you can go into it. You may have anything in common with the other person or whatever, but you talk about sports or music with somebody.
Yeah.
And you can get along with it. So I was just sitting there just going, I think he was more like, I got an American here.
Yeah.
Like, we could just go, we could talk about that. And he told me, he's like, hey, man, you know the routine. Like, we were in, this was, I think, in July. So, like, right towards the end of July, August. And he's like, hey, man, I don't have any jobs for you. You know, like the school's year's gonna start in like 2 weeks. So I'll tell you what, leave me your resume, man. And if things happen, you know, next year, you know, because when they hire, you know, I'll hit you up. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, ran out of money, and I got a call from a school over here saying, hey, you want to be a substitute teacher, you know, teaching math and everything. And I was like, all right, cool. So I went back over here, and I was teaching for like a few weeks, and he gives me a call out of nowhere. And he's like, hey, I don't know if you remember me. You know, I'm like, dude, this is a call unavailable number, meaning this is I got out of country. I was like, yeah, of course I remember you. What's up going on?
Yeah.
He tells me this teacher was trying to do her little vlog, right, with a GoPro and an iPad. And apparently she went down the wrong alley, and she got hogtied, robbed, and beat up, and she spooked her. So she got out of Dodge, right? She was like, hey, man, she's leaving like on Monday. And this was like on a Wednesday. He's like, can you fly down and start Monday? And I was like, you mean like in 4 or 5 days, bro? And he's like, look, I know it's like, don't worry about the visa. We'll take care of it. Just have your passport, come on a tourist visa, like, you know, everything like that. I need a teacher down here, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah. So I got out of Dodge. I went over there, long story short, I showed up, and I showed up like I flew out on a Sunday, right? Took a long flight, did everything, had different things on. I go on Monday, bags under my eyes, man, looking like Vaughn's 2000. I'm just sitting there. I show up, and I'm like, hey, what's going on, man? What do you need me to teach? I'm ready to go. And then I see the girl, and she didn't leave. Apparently, she had a change of heart. So I was like, oh, hell no, dude. I've already had a going away party. I was like, I've already sold half my stuff, right? I've already quit my substitute gig, where I was at, because it was a long-term sub gig. And so I was like, you got to find something for me. So he's like, all right. Okay, listen. Well, you're going to be here next year for the next school year. So just for these next couple of months, we're going to set you up with this program. I know some people, and you'll be teaching at this farm, teaching them like English. And I was like, what the hell? And I was like, how bad is this farm? He's like, no, it's fine, like this kind of stuff and that. And they put in the word and everything like that. And I started teaching English in a farm. Yeah. To a bunch of farmers who have zero desire to learn English, but the program that they're with required them to take a semester of English.
Yeah.
The nicest people ever, and it humbled me up, man. I showed up, there was like maybe 35 students and like 14 chairs, and I'm like, wait a minute, not the greatest at math here, but the numbers are off as far as students to chair ratio.
Yeah.
There was just a chalkboard and some chalk, and they were like, I was like, is there any book, any curriculum? No. Any internet? No. Teach like that. Like it was basically like just thrown into it. It was one of those like you invite LeBron James to give you a basketball lesson, but there's no court. There's no ball. Yeah, there's no ball. There's literally a rock. Like I thought when you said I was gonna have the rock, that's like slang for a ball. Like no, it's an actual rock. Teach them basketball, and I was like, oh man, all right. But it was like I hated it at first. I was all like, man, this is dumb. What the hell am I doing? I'm in the middle of this freaking farm jungle type deal. I'm teaching people English and with zero resources, but the humility of the people, just being humble and like inviting me to do whatever. And that was the great thing about Colombian culture. And
so
it was fantastic.
So going from teaching with the rock, a actual rock, not the rock, Dwayne Johnson, but a rock. How is it now? Fast forward to today on a computer with all these kids.
Oh, I mean,
we even skipped about your wife, but they're married. They're married, by the way. She's a good lady. She's a good girl. She's my tocaya. They're good people. Since we skipped all of that,
yeah.
Now, from a rock to a computer, what's going on lately? I know my son Nick is good. His math is great. His classes are great. He knocks it out. But I'm starting to catch that the little one's a little bit more becoming a little lazy, and I feel that he physically needs to be like me. I need to physically do it myself to learn it. I feel that Jojo needs to do the same. I need Jojo back at the school.
Okay. Your needs?
I know, right? I know.
As a teacher, nobody gives a shit about your needs, bro. All right? Listen, you are the last people to be... Listen, don't even start with blaming teachers or blaming school.
I'm not blaming anybody.
Okay, but saying, I need my kid back in school. Oh, come on. Y'all been training your kids for virtual learning this entire time as parents, man. Hey, Dad, I want to play... Not you. All right, now I'm just talking to a variety of parents. Now
I'm about to kick you the fuck out, bro.
I was like, now I'm sounding off on parents, right? Like, hey, Mom, can I play outside? No. Go to your room. I don't want you to play outside. You're gonna get kidnapped. Your Xbox is in your room, right? Helicopter parenting. You've been training your kids for virtual learning this whole damn time. Don't even start with it. Like kids are tired of being in front of a computer or being in front of a TV or being in front of any of that before virtual learning.
Right.
The first day of school, I always have kids come in and say, hey man, what would you guys rather do? All right, raise your hand. Would you rather play outside like Sandlot, or would you rather stay inside and just be in front of a computer screen? 99% of the time, they raise their hand, talk about playing outside Sandlot. I hear some kids are like, I'd rather just play catch with my dad. But he's just like, okay, when you finish your homework, go play on your PlayStation. And they're like, well, okay, those are my only two options. I guess I'm going to play PlayStation. Because, man, parents ain't trying to hang out with their kids. So it's just like literally like that. So I'm like, what are you complaining about? The version? The kids were tired of it before that. So now with the front of a computer screen, you're saying like, oh, who am I gonna blame? Yeah. Now one of them has said, well, hey, let's blame myself for my kid not liking this virtual learning. It's because they're tired of being in front of a screen. And did anybody expect virtual learning to work? What jobs can you do virtually that involves youth and teaching or anything like that, development of somebody, right, that can be done virtually, right? Like, I mean, let's go down. Doctor visits, right? Doctor visits. Have you talked to a doctor virtually lately?
Oh, dude, check this out.
It's the big, hey, my foot's broken. Okay, so virtually, let me teach you how to fix your broken foot. Get 2 popsicle sticks, wrap it around your head. Like that, you're like, what the hell? I want to go to the
It's funny
hospital.
that you say that because I got a letter in the mail that said, hey, we're not going to prescribe you high blood pressure medication anymore if we don't schedule a physical. We haven't seen you in a year.
Mm-hmm.
We need to see you. I call. Okay, so your appointment's tomorrow. Already? Cool. Yeah, so expect a phone. I'm not going to pay $30 for a phone call.
Yeah, no.
No.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, so as people are like, wait a minute. Like,
So-
even in the DMV, they're trying to keep it virtual. They're like, we're going to have you wait on the phone for the next 3 hours. You're like, okay, that sounds like a good transition.
My question was, so is that blood pressure machine going to pop out of the phone and check my... Because I don't feel that the doctor can check what he needs to check over the phone.
Dude,
Okay, well, your appointment's on the 20th. I'm like, well, that's better than freaking nothing.
yo, if you're trying to get a free prescription pill access to anything you want, now is the time. I called the doctor. I was like, hey, my back's been hurting. He's like, oh, okay, so I can go ahead and subscribe you this. Yeah, he was like naming a whole bunch of drugs. He's all like, okay, Vicodin, Robaxin. I can get meth. we can give you meth. What do you want? Just please don't come into our hospital. You're like, what? I just want to see a doctor and take an X-ray. No, we can't have you in the hospital. Okay. So please. Okay. So do you want? Okay. So do you want crack? You're like, that's just like going through all these different anything to get you like virtually like we're virtually curing people right now. So it's all like, hey, I'm having trouble sleep at night. I don't know. Okay. All right, sir. Don't worry about it. The heroin is on the way. We're gonna send that to you right there. Is your address
With
still
a
the
drone
same?
and everything,
Yeah, with
right?
the drone. Just stay away. Like, oh, okay. So if like doctor visits aren't working, you mean to tell me that teaching your kids at home was gonna work? Not gonna happen, dude. Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen at all. It was doomed from the beginning. But I will say this: people who are advocating that teachers need to somehow take one for the team and just suck it up and go back and teach the kids. I say this. Let me break it down, and I'll tell my brother about this, man. I say, all right, so let me get this straight. Okay. When shit goes wrong, we're society. We're just babysitters, right? That's what everybody says. We're just complaining babysitters that get summers off. Okay, so let's check that off. Your kid, when he has a problem at home, he comes to me, so I'm part-time dad. Okay. When there's ever something that goes on and a kid, he's having, let's just say, really adult feeling thoughts, whatever, then I'm his psychologist. Okay. Now, school shootings, right? More teachers and kids. I mean, prior to 2020, I know everybody seemed how to forget that, right? Now that all the debate was like, let's, teachers should be armed.
There's been less school shootings this year, right?
Social distancing, right? Shots fired now are virtually. I hate you. Boom! Right there, gun emoji. I'm saying? So, so now they want me to be your kid's bodyguard. So let me get this straight. You want me to be your kid's babysitter? You want me to be your kid's dad? You want me to be your kid's psychologist? You want me to be your kid's bodyguard? You want me to be your kid's friend? All right. And now you want me to be your kid's nurse practitioner and have him show up to school and I got to clean, wipe down everything and do all this kind of stuff. All on my same bullshit ass salary? Nah, I'm good.
I just wanted my son's math to be
I'm
better,
good.
bro.
No,
Damn,
it's not
now
gonna
since you
happen.
put it that way, damn.
Man. Hey, listen, shout out to all the supermarket workers right there. But one of the coolest things I remember is Vons and Albertsons reading the news that they got hazard and danger pay, right, for working during COVID. Because they're not as protected. Cool for them. So let me get this straight then. As far as the teacher, though, I got to suck it up. Ain't no hazard paying for me, even though I'm going to have 175 students, which is the number I have right now, coming in and out of my classrooms. And you want me to go ahead and do it again with said same salary and all this kind of stuff? Not even going to discuss any type of like protection that I'm going to have.
Right.
How am I going to teach behind a plexiglass? How is that possible to teach? All I gave was just spit wads are going to go up 100% if I teach behind a plexiglass right there. You know what I mean? Like,
Bring them back.
Yeah, and if I try to complain to parents, they'll be like, oh, my child would have never have done a spit wad. Straws are outlawed in California. There's no way he saw that spit wad. I don't know what you're talking about. It's your fault, but you get summers off, so you shouldn't complain. That's everybody's like thing. You're like, hey, can I get money for an expo marker? You get summers off. Don't complain. Oh, okay. All right. Hey, your kid showed up today, and he was crying because he didn't have school supplies, but I don't have any more money for you. Get summers off. Figured. Oh, okay. All right. I'm sorry. So I don't. it's one of those lose-lose situations. You know what I mean?
Yeah, my son's gonna be an NFL player instead of a teacher.
Yeah, right there you go. Right. Hey, at least they have COVID testing, rapid testing for NFL. For teacher, nah, but there's no money for that. Right. It's like, hey, can we get some COVID testing every day for teachers? Ooh, no, sorry, I can't do that. I mean, how are you gonna work with social distancing with middle school kids?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How am I gonna have them keep their mask on? I can't even keep these kids have their hands to themselves because they're going through puberty and everything like that. You want me to have them have their mask on and not hug and kiss or hold hands or anything?
Yeah.
That's what part of being a kid is all about. You know, we as adults forget what it was like being a kid in that position until you actually see kids going into that, like how I'm teaching kids that are your son's age.
Yeah.
You know, and we always have talks about it and everything like that. I know one time you were asking me about it, like, hey, what are the things I got to expect or this and that. And I think, I told you, I was like, hey, man, just make sure that Chrome browser is cleared. Like the moment he passes it back to you. Otherwise, hey, you're gonna have your head down and be like, oh man.
Well, I'm gonna
he's
check
entering that age
history before I return the laptop.
Yeah, but these kids are smarter than us with technology, man. So here they got that VPN right now. He's already looking up stuff in China that's gonna delete automatically like that. So you're good, man. He's good with that kid. Nah, but like I said, man, virtual learning was doomed from the beginning, and all I say is we're doing the best we can with what we got. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This was literally just kind of dumped on our lap and saying like, hey, so you've never had to learn virtually before. All right, go ahead and do it. You know what I mean? That you're like, oh, okay. But don't mess up on it because if you mess up, then these kids are screwed for life. But no pressure. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
When school first started, I followed like the Puente Bus Facebook page, and a dad posted a picture of his 5-year-old in front of a computer, and like the little girl's face looked so confused, bro. Like it was like I felt bad for this kid because the dad captioned the photos like they expect her to write emails and open laptops and do everything, but she doesn't even know what 1 + 1 is.
Yeah, and that's the thing, man. I
felt so bad for that kid, dude.
Well, how do you feel bad? Like, listen, there's nothing more that we want than to see kids succeed. Like, I take it personal if a kid can't, succeed in my class, or if he struggles with reading, or if he struggles with that. To me, it's all like, man, you have one job as a teacher, and that's to help this kid out. So get off your ass, quit feeling sorry for yourself, and just get right to it. So like, I was mad, I was pissed off about it, but then I'm all like, you know what, dude? If I can go about this one or two ways, right? I can be, angry and just be like, cross my arms and be like, oh, I'm not gonna do this. This is virtual learning, it's such a waste of time. I'm gonna do this. Or I can be like, all right, screw it. Let's get to it. Like, let's do it this way. And it's funny. I treat it like a podcast because I'm speaking to a computer. I can't hear them.
Right.
They can hear me, or at least I hope. So I'm literally just like speaking into it. I can see what they're doing, which is kind of funny because, you see parents, like, the amount of moms in yoga pants that I see sitting in on my lessons is hilarious. Okay. Parents are leaning over into my lessons like the Pixar lamp. Like, it's pretty crazy. They're just sitting right there. And I'm like, oh, okay. You want a free lesson? Go ahead, sit down too. So I'll be like teaching. And then sometimes they can turn on their mic, so they'll be like, all right, so today we're going to learn about this. And, is this going to be on the test? And I'm like, who said that? And then you just see like mom right there chewing gum. Like, I just need to know if I got to help him study for it. And I'm like, okay, Miss Ma'am, can you please leave? And I can, your kid's 12 and 13. He doesn't, kindergarten, maybe you have your kids sitting right there. But I'm like, dude, I got 40 minutes with your kid. Like, you're wasting my time asking me questions. Or they have like little comments too. Like, I didn't know that. Or I have parents taking selfies with their kids social distancing learning. I'm like, don't nobody care about your narcissistic selfies like that. Hashtag the struggles, social distance, social life, social 2020, doing our part. You're like, oh my God, let me do my thing, right? I'm trying to teach. We're trying to see you. God. So that part of it is a little weird, but I mean, I don't know what other teachers are doing. You say your family was a PE teacher.
My cousin's a PE teacher.
How the hell do you virtually teach PE? Do you have the kids in a hamster wheel?
Well,
and you're
she actually.
You want to get fed? Are they producing electricity for the neighborhood by running in a freaking treadmill or something like that, hooked up to generators?
No, she actually came on. A few months ago, and before class started, and she kind of explained a little bit of what she has to do. And now I want to have her back on to see how it's gone since, because you're doing it from a teacher's point of view at class, like 13-year-olds. What, history? What are you teaching?
History.
History.
Yeah.
Now I want to hear from what she's been going through
She had
as
the
a
Tony
PE
Gazelle
teacher.
She just has the gazelle. Right
She
there.
said she had to post like YouTube videos and had the kids kind of go through them at the same time. Like I said, I want to have her back on and see
hey,
what.
you know, man. Hey, I call it poetic justice, aka karma. Now, I joke a lot with those teachers, but I get along with all of them. But I say like teachers who, we'll just say, historically have had it easier. I'm looking at you, PE teachers. You know what I mean? Like that, okay? All right, much love. All right.
Hey, your cousin's one of them too, bro.
Hey, I'm just saying. You went from, hey, when in doubt, like, you can wing being a PE teacher. All right, I'm a whistleblow PE teachers right now. You can wing it. What are we doing today? We're going to run the mile. 4 laps, and we're good. You know what I mean? Like, when in doubt, run them out. That's what I always tell the PE teachers. Like, I'm like, what are you guys doing today? When in doubt, run them out. Like that. Like, just run them out. But now virtually, I'm like, ooh, how the tables have turned. Like, now you got to pull a rabbit out of a hat every single day because getting running in place gets old after a while. I'm pretty sure doing jumping jacks for week 1 was pretty cool. But after that, you're like, you better have a master's degree in yoga, right? Or something like that.
I'm gonna
like,
get hate emails and shit.
how
Hey,
are
this
you-
guy's a teacher.
how are you doing this? That's why we didn't say my name. Like, how are you doing this? Like a PE, virtually PE teaching. I don't know how this is working out. You know, it's one of those crazy things, man. But you know, I do say this. They're talking about doing this hybrid model, right? Like having some kids in, some kids no. You know, have some of the kids in half the time. That'll probably work for elementary because, you know, you only have one group of kids per teacher. I don't see how that's going to work for like middle school or high school, man. You know, like think about it. You have some kids there, but some kids at home. And to me, I'm like, well, what happens if that kid that's at home misses his friends and now he wants to go back into school? Or one kid gets sick, and then now you got to send everybody that was in that classroom at home. Oh, wait, but he's got 6 different classrooms, so now he's got to go bring them all back or keep them all home. Like, it's one of those two, like, hey, we're going to bring back the NBA basketball season, but, you know, we're only going to have 2 players on the court per team. So it's going to be like NBA Jam 1994. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So it's like, wait a minute, so this isn't real. We're going to play football, but we're going to do 7-on-7. You know what I mean? We're like, we're gonna play baseball, but we're gonna do it like, you know, we'll have a rover and we're gonna play.
Ghost
Yeah,
on base
exactly.
one,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, you're like, oh, okay. So if you're saying, oh, that's dumb, that wouldn't work for sports. Yeah, how's that gonna work for schools then? You know what I mean? So it's like that idea is not gonna work. You're just literally doing it because we're tired of getting emails from parents saying like, when is my kid going back? When is my kid going back? So I'm like, no. You want your kid back to school. Don't say it's because your kid wants to learn and because your kids are adaptable. And that's the great thing about kids. There are less kids complaining about social distancing than adults. Because kids are like, yeah, we hate it, but I mean, you know, it is what it is. When we go back, we'll go back. It's going to be awesome. We hate it now, but they still logging in.
Yeah.
You know? And a lot of these kids are helping out their little brothers or sisters logging
Yeah.
in because mom and dad are like, hey, I got to work full time. You're the oldest.
that's-
You're 12 or 13.
It's-
You take care of
It's
it.
funny that you say that because I literally just recently had a conversation with the mother of my kids about, you know, my daughter's grades. I'm not very happy with her grades. And that's the one thing that I think I said in the last episode and a couple episodes ago. That's the one thing she threw in my face is you have your wife to take them to school. I give you that one. These kids are pretty smart because I have my wife. Because again, I said it before, I would have never assumed to make my kids read for an hour a day. You know, I would have never, like you said, I'm at work. I leave the house at, you know, 5:30 in the morning. They're still in bed. They have to sign in at 8 o'clock. It's not like I work on I live by my route. Yes, but how's that going to look on my GPS? I'm like, why isn't I just going to his house like 5 times a day?
Yeah.
You know, then I lose my job. Then we're all freaking screwed and break into a school to live in because they're abandoned anyways. So
Yeah. No, honestly, and that's the thing. I think a long time ago as society, we forgot that the way you raise a kid is literally, there used to be like parents and teachers were on the same side, you know?
Yeah.
But now when I go into a parent-teacher conference or whatever, I know it's going to be me versus them. And there's no changing parents. They got it right in their mind. And to you, it's really hard changing a teacher because they got it right in their own mind. So a lot of times you're just like, well, who's losing out on this? It's the kid. Because he's like,
Yeah.
man, I don't know who to follow. I'm around you. I see you. I hang out with you and my friends more than my own dad. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause he comes from work, and what does he want to do? He wants to watch TV, or he wants to do, or now with phones and everything now, it's crazy. When you go out, like, maybe boomers, people who are like 65 and older have an argument with this. But everybody that younger than that has a smartphone, you go to restaurants, they're on the smartphone more than their kids, and like their kids are on their smartphone, but it's like they're just only seeing what mom and dad are doing.
They're mirroring.
Yeah, they're just mirroring what they're seeing. So like, oh, well, my mom and dad are on there because they know, they've just discovered Instagram. You know what I mean, like that. So they're on it 24/7. Well, then that's all I'm gonna do. And that's all that they know.
Like I tell the kids and the wife is like, they're saying you're not like the boys are saying you're not like who you used to be, and I hear that from Layla too. You're not who you used to be. It's called age, and I try to run circles around you at basketball, and my knee shot outs. Dude, they're actually looking forward to today, and that's why I kind of asked you to get here earlier, because today is what we call Pokemon Go Community Day.
Oh,
we will
excellent.
We will do that.
Yeah.
I'll do that with them as long as they don't lose their electronics. We'll go knock it out. We were thinking about going to Santa Monica, but I'm like, hey, my funds aren't really there.
Yeah.
And we were doing that a couple of weeks ago. We were playing Pokemon Go. How does just walking around the park makes your freaking knee shut out? We were just walking, dude, and I came home the next day and I'm freaking limping. Letty's like, what's wrong, dude? The Charizard was pretty hard to catch, you know what I mean? So, had something tough about that.
Hey, man, Pokemon cards were you remember growing up with those ones there? I remember we had it was getting intense, man.
Yeah.
They would rather you have drugs than have Pokemon cards at school.
Right? That
Remember
was
back in the 90s? That was like the things
yeah.
right there. Like instead of Dare, it was like, you had like, Pikachu show up at your school. So like, don't bring Pokemon cards to school.
Yeah.
Kids are getting beat up.
Yeah.
Right? People
Yeah.
were getting ripped off for Pokemon cards.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's what I tell the kids, like, and my brothers too, is like, we finally caught the 150 or 150, 51. It's a 150, whatever. Like, it took us like 4 years to collect the 150, right?
You're like, your dad
And
got
then
beat
they're
up over a Blastoise.
And then they come up with Pokemon's got a whole new 100 new Pokemons. Fuck this, I'm done.
Like, I'm done. Right?
I'm done. So it's a lot easier to catch them on a freaking game than it was to collect. This game's a lot cheaper than all those Pokemon cards were.
Oh no,
And
man!
so-
They'll never know the rush of seeing a Pokemon card you didn't have.
Right.
You know what I mean? People were doing some scandalous stuff
Yeah.
for those Pokemon cards, man. I'm sure there was some like 19-year-old sucking dick for a
these
Charizard. You know what I'm talking about?
You stole my fucking joke. You stole my joke. I got these cheeseburgers, man.
Exactly right there. Like, is that a first edition? That's gonna cost you more.
So that's the most that I will do with them, because it's a lot easier to walk than it is to freaking jump hoops and shit. And like I told my wife, I'm like, their baseball gloves are that's the only thing I can do is probably play catch with them, right? So it's like
They'll love it.
but their baseball gloves aren't I gotta go buy them new baseball gloves, and I'm like, hey guys, you guys want to go get baseball gloves? And they're like, kind of like, well, I don't know, like, well, I'm not gonna spend money. Look,
Yeah.
there's a tote behind you, bro, that has tennis rackets, freaking baseball gloves, freaking baseball bats. At one point I had golf clubs for them, and like they just kind of like drift away from the sport, or they'll play something else. Like, we're walking the park a couple weeks ago, and we saw these at 6 a.m, dude. It was early, and we saw this couple playing tennis. Older couple, they have to be in their 60s, and they're like,
Yeah, because who else the hell plays tennis at a park but people in their 60s?
well, right. So then Nick's like, hey, Dad, yeah, we've had tennis rackets for years, sucker. Like, yeah, we can try to do that. So we'll probably start doing that again.
But again, with kids, all they want is obviously attention, but what they also really want is just positive information. They want, they want somebody to tell them they're doing a good job.
Yeah.
It means a lot to hear that.
And
Even as adults, right?
No, you're right.
Listen, oh yeah, I work for this house. I do all my things. I come home, and then I just want to be appreciated. Nobody appreciates
There you
me.
go.
So even as adults,
There you
right?
go, bro. There you go.
Kids want the same thing. So if like tennis rackets, they want to see you play tennis by yourself, and then they're gonna be like, "Can I play?" Like that, and then they'll invite themselves. And
Yeah.
you're like, "Oh, okay, it worked."
It's funny you say that, bro, because again, my wife always sends me a screenshot. Hey, Julian got a 95 on his math. Pretty much telling me, make sure you acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Like, hey, mijo, I heard you got a 95 on your math. That's right.
Yeah.
But you're right on the whole a pat on the back. Like I said, when I first came out here to this territory, I come from, Ventura. I did Goleta for 3 years.
Uh-huh.
I did Selma for a year. Then I come to this territory, and I'm doing what my company's required, asking me to do, and I'm knocking it out. And I'm not asking for help. I'm just knocking it out, pissing off the competition. And one day we were out with the bosses and having like a happy hour, And they're like, Andres, like a pat on the back, like, nice work, man. I came home and I told my wife, like, babe, they patted me on the back today. Like, okay, no. They really patted me on the back today. Like, it had like a meaning, like it was a special kind of pat. And she was like, to me that goes a long way. To me, that makes me want to kick ass even more.
Oh, big
you know
time.
what I mean? It's like, example, yesterday, on the 15th, we got like this car allowance. They pay us for our miles in the car, and they give us like a wear and tear, $300 some for wear and tear on their car once a month. So we should never have issues with their cars because they're literally paying for that. There was an issue where I guess I turned in my insurance late, so I didn't get that part. Where, again, if I ever complain about this man, I feel so bad because yesterday he calls me, hey, I'm not trying to get personal, but it was something you mentioned yesterday, because I called him like, hey, what happened? Do you guys know what happened or anything? Well, why don't you call the company and see what they tell you? I'm like, okay, cool. So he calls me yesterday and he says, hey, not to get personal, but what you told me about your bank account yesterday, really, really, I've been thinking about it for a long time. Like, literally, do you need me to let you borrow a couple $100 so you can get back? I'm like, no, man, no. I at moments I stress out, but I thought about it. Wait a minute, my fucking boy Evan reminded me that you can Venmo yourself money from credit cards, and so I did that. But from the bottom of my heart, man, I really appreciate that. That's the first thing I came home and told the wife. Like,
Yeah.
he freaking offered to lend me money and stuff like that. That's what I'm saying. It's like, that's the pat on the back that you're saying that we need to give our kids.
Yeah,
Stuff like that.
and I just think like people overcomplicate it with kids because they think, like, oh, all these kids want to be is in front of a screen, or all these kids want to do is stay indoors. All these kids want to do. I'm like, no. First and foremost, all the kid wants to do is be a kid.
Yeah.
Like, and what do kids do? Kids make mistakes, right? Kids get into trouble. Kids are going to do stupid things. And then it's just, how do you react as the adult figure that's supposed to set that example to either veer them back on that right path, or to literally set that example and that precedent for them. Like, hey, you fucked up. It's okay. This
Let's
is how
do it
you
again.
don't fuck up a second time. Okay. So that way, when the kid becomes an adult, becomes a member of society. Like, do you know how powerful and crucial that is? That, like, if you look at everybody who's a fuck up, a member of society that's an adult, you're like, damn, this kid had a clean slate at one point in time.
Yeah.
All it took was some adult, whether it was a teacher, a neighbor, a sibling, whoever, to tell this kid, you don't have to be a fuck up when you grow up.
You know what's
You
funny?
don't have to do that.
It's fucking hilarious. Fuck, dude, you're hitting points right now. You're like hitting, like, you're just hitting points. My grandmother took custody of 3 of my brothers, and all of them graduated high school. The ones that stay with my mom, so far out of all of us, one of them maybe graduate. Good for you, Junior. Keep it up, buddy. I love you, bro. If he seems like he's the one that's going to be the only one to graduate under my mom's roof. But then I learned that, like I said, I don't know if you heard where I said, like, it took like 8 years for me to see my grandma again, and my brothers were like fucking tall and shit. And then I learned that one of them went to prison, and like, what? So my question to them was, I thought we were supposed to be the fuck ups. You know what I mean? Like, I made it crystal clear, dude. I speak my mind when I feel I need to speak my mind. And how is it that you guys are acting this way? Obviously, I'm only mentioning the prison thing, but there's obviously more reasons why I said that. To me, a person with an education and a high school diploma or a college diploma or a degree or whatever, my mentality based on how I grew up is, you shouldn't be the fuck up. I should be the fuck up.
To me, honestly, very few people, anybody in America should be a fuck up. We have way more opportunities. And maybe this is just me again, going back, like I said, thinking back to Colombia, teaching people who had literally nothing. If somebody like, and I just remember bringing my wife over here, right? And she's just like, we were watching this, like a documentary or something like that. And people are talking about like, oh, I live in the hood and man, this is the projects and that. And she's like, she's just looking at it and she's just like, they got a fucking roof.
Yeah.
And then she's like, wait a minute, they get free lunch at schools? Wait, they have a bus that they don't have to pay for, a yellow bus that takes them to school? They got running water? The first question, I swear to God, the first question my mother-in-law asked my wife when she first came here, where does the water come from? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to me, it's just like we complain about so much little shit and so much little things and everything. Over there, man, people are ecstatic to just have life. You know what I mean? They're to be healthy, to be with family, to be whatever. Like our lockdown, COVID, whatever you want to call it, is nothing compared to what they were doing there and people were doing in other countries. Over there, you had a day that you can leave the house. Only one person from the household can leave, and it was based off of whatever number your cellular was, meaning whatever number from your like that.
Yeah.
Come on, we're just being asked to wear a fucking mask.
Yeah.
But we can go outside, whatever. So like when people are like, oh, it's this lockdown is just really stressful. It's like, get the fuck out of here. Like lockdowns in other countries was straight up like, if you leave, we're going to arrest you or kill you. Like,
Officer Ricky yesterday when I got home, I think it was when I got home from work.
Mm-hmm.
Even he was like, dude, you're making me hot just looking at you, because long sleeve shirt, polo shirt over it,
yeah.
black pants, freaking socks to my freaking knees, and a mask that's covering from my nose down.
Yeah.
He's like, you're making me hot just by looking at you. I'm like, whatever COVID doesn't stick on my skin. And my bosses have told me the same thing, dude. It's freaking 112.
Yeah.
Whatever keeps COVID out of my house.
What's crazy though, I found the COVID, man. Just a little side note on COVID. Do you think it's been made a big deal because it's affected older people? Like, do you feel like if this was like, COVID's, let's just face it, it's taking out people of a certain age group. You know what I'm talking about? Like over the age of 65 or whatever, right? You feel like if they're like, this new disease called COVID-20 is taking out millennials from the age of 18 to 30, people would be like, who gives a shit, right? Nobody would care, right? They'd be like, we had polio growing up, we survived just fine, they could do without it. Another millennial complaining, but the moment grandpa gets a freaking COVID-19, then all of a sudden everybody's all like, take this serious. I'm
not gonna say I can say I'm afraid. I'm not afraid. I really don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I just do it because I'm doing it. Maybe because I'm being told to do.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, I wasn't around, you weren't around during World War II.
No.
Okay? But as a history teacher, I can go on for like hours talking about what rationing was during that time, what having a little booklet as far as like, okay, you can buy bread on this day, you can get gas on this day, you can get all this type of stuff on that day. And you know what?
Yeah.
We read that people just dealt with it. They're like, I can only get my canned ham on Fridays. It's not the end of the world, but I guess I'm going to have to live with it.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like, okay, wearing a mask, social distancing, you can't go to a bar, just do it till things boil over. I'm like, whatever. It could probably be worse. It could be like World War II, where I wasn't allowed to own, a belt made of metal, or I wasn't allowed to own anything made of this or whatever. People were sacrificing more back then.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm sacrificing now is that I got to breathe into a mask. It's not that bad. You know what I mean? So I'm like, whatever.
The reason why I'm like on top of it is like, one, I don't want to get that COVID testing again. That shit was horrible. And two, it sucked. I mean, I do come home sometimes in a stressful day and I just go lock myself in the room, play some Call of Duty, right? But that's because I want to.
Mm-hmm.
When you're being forced to play Call of Duty, that's a different story. When I had to be in quarantine for it was only like 6 days, because I bumped into an uncle that tested positive. So it's like being forced to play Call of Duty is totally different than when you just want to do it on your own.
But bro, you just mentioned playing Call of Duty.
Hey, bro, that's what I do.
No. What I'm trying to tell you is, how bad is that? You got to play
It gets
Call
boring. It gets
of
boring.
Duty.
No.
Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you listening to the Flat Tire Annie podcast, it
He's
got so
complaining.
bad
He's
that he was
complaining.
forced to play Call of Duty for 6 whole days. Without food, no. Water, plenty of water. Roof over his head, I would imagine.
I set myself up for
The
that.
Wi-Fi was strong enough for that Call of Duty being played, ladies and gentlemen. If you're out there, light a candle for my man right here.
Fuck, I set
that he
myself
had
up.
to suffer so much. That Call of Duty in a 6-day quarantine.
It just sucks when no one's playing. When you have your buddies not online, they're not online. That's what I meant.
Then
That's
just
what I
play
meant.
some 8-year-old Korean kid that'll whoop your ass in like 5 seconds or something like that. Yeah, something like that. You'll be good.
I set myself up for that one.
That's what
Shit.
I'm saying, dude.
But nah, yeah, it's just like being forced to be locked up is being locked up in your room. Like everybody had to stay in the living room, and I couldn't go out there, and so that's what I meant.
Yeah.
But I was playing Call of Duty, yeah. motherfucker. You're not welcome here anymore.
Yeah, like that's why I haven't had you on until like episode 38.
Right?
Or
Yeah.
something like that.
You won't be back till episode 2000.
Don't worry about it, man. Don't worry about it.
No,
It's
that's
all
funny.
good.
I set myself up for that one.
No,
That's
it's
good.
okay.
But
But and for the record, I do love teaching. I know people are gonna be like, "Oh, this guy's complaining," but listen. First of all,
that was an ask you final thoughts.
No. First of all, everybody bitches about their job. Okay, so obviously you can't look at this profession and think that no one is gonna bitch about their job. All right, so let's just go ahead and get that clear. All right. Second thing, I absolutely love my profession. I just think that in America we treat teachers as the easiest scapegoat punching bags that we could possibly get. And because it's like, okay,
This one punches back, boys.
no, well, I'm just saying,
And
like,
girls.
like, if you want, and they're like, why is there a teacher shortage? Because nobody wants to go into the profession. Oh, it's because of kids. No, a lot of it has to do with just like what's being asked of us. You know, I feel like I'm the waiter at Chili's, and I have those 2 table trays of food, and then my boss is coming, and my boss being society, and it's just packing on additional trays and saying, don't spill over, because if you spill over, you're going to ruin everybody's food. And I'm like, oh, thanks for that
Yeah.
pressure. So am I going to get paid a little bit of extra money to do this? No, you're good. You get summers off. You know what I mean? Like that. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, like, okay, no, right? Like that's not, if you want the best doctors, nobody argues a doctor's salary, right? I'm not a doctor, don't but lawyers, right? The best lawyers charge the most money, and people are fine with that. They're like, oh, look at this rich lawyer representing this rich person, right? Every job is competitive salary wise, whether it's sports, right, free agency or whatever. But why is it when it comes to teachers, the concept of paying teachers more? Oh, no, that's what they've been doing a horrible job. And I'm like, well, if every single job in America is on par with the pay, like, Andy, would you work your ass off legit if you got paid $8 an hour right now? Or would you be like, I'm going to get paid $8 an hour, no commission? That's not even minimum wage. But do you expect me to go the extra mile? Hey, we need you to drive down to San Diego on Tuesdays and do something. You'd be like, bro, at this money, I'm not even going to, why would I even waste my time?
It's only gas money.
Yeah, it's only gas money. I'm losing it. Blah,
That's
blah,
what I
blah.
told the wife.
So with teaching, you know what I mean? I'm like, okay, so you don't want to up the pay of incoming teachers. With me, I love my profession. Hopefully, if God willing, I'll be able to do this to my dad. I've already done this for almost a decade. But to people that are coming up into it, they're like, man, I'm going to go into it teaching in Pasadena for $48,000 a year. I can't even afford a home there. I can't even afford rent there. But I'm supposed to pay for this kid's backpack because he doesn't have a backpack.
It does
this
suck
kid's this,
living-
whatever.
it does suck living
Dude, the
paycheck to
amount of
paycheck.
stuff that I like, where if I see a kid that doesn't have anything, like I coached soccer one year, right? Kid comes in with shoes and socks. And I'm all like, hey man, dude, you're gonna get hurt. You know, you gotta have cleats and everything like that. He's like, oh no, I don't have any. You know, but I want to play. My friends are playing. Blah blah. I was like, oh hell no. There's like 6 other kids that didn't have cleats, didn't have shin guards, didn't have anything. They just wanted to play. I mean, I went down to Big Five. I dropped like $300. Just bought these kids like socks, shin guards, cleats. Brought over there. I was like, I don't know what size you guys are, but kids like, oh, we'll fit into it. You always get bigger. They can fit into bigger. You know what I
Yeah.
mean, like that. But I'm saying, like, I didn't knock on their parents' door. You know what I mean? Like, hey, pay me back for this.
I need a-
I
here's a
didn't do
receipt.
anything.
Yeah.
All I said was, hey, society, like, just keep an eye on that kind of stuff like that, because that's what we do behind closed doors. But I get summers off, so, you know, I'm not allowed to bitch. You know what I mean? Like that. So it's all like, what the heck? Like, all right, dude. So, you know, you just have to think, if you want the best people for that job, you got to make it competitive to where they look at it and they're like, well, I could be a teacher, or I can work for a warehouse and I make more money working at the warehouse than being a teacher. I'm going to go for the warehouse. Nobody can fault that person. But what you're doing is you're setting a precedent to where you're only going to get the bottom of the barrel people that are going to teach your kids. Are you willing to gamble with your kids' education because you didn't want to get paid these people? Like, you're basically saying, I'm going to try my best not to pay this guy, even though I know that it's going to be beneficial for my kid's future. How stupid does that sound? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
hey, let's take our kid to the doctor. Ooh, you know what? There's a guy whose name starts with a D and ends with an R. Why don't we take him to that? No, you're stupid. He's not a doctor. He didn't go to school for that. He's not this. I want to take him to a doctor. I want to take him to a hospital. So, but with teachers, you're going to cut corners. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, oh, okay. So let me get this straight. You can get the smartest of the smartest. You can get this guy or girl that can work their ass off to teach your kid better. But there you're going to cut corners. You won't cut corners with your kid's health. So why would you cut corners with your kid's education aka your kid potentially going into school and, oh, they don't know how to read, they don't know how to have they don't know how to do math without a calculator, they don't know any personal life skills or anything like that. It's like, well, yeah, no shit, you've priced everybody out that was wanting to do it.
Yeah.
You know, they got up and left. The average teacher teaches 7 years, and they just say, fuck this, like, I can't afford it. I love my job, but I can't afford what I'm doing to you know, like, this is a profession. We have to go to school after we get our bachelor's. That's what people don't understand. We don't just like graduate from high school and like, I want to be a teacher. They're like, oh, here's an expo marker. Like, yay, like that. It doesn't work that way. You got to go like minimum 6 years of school, you know, 4 years, whatever your bachelor's plus your credential program, doing all that. Then you got to work for free being a student teacher. You got to do all this type of stuff just so I can make as much as a guy that can get a job out of high school or anything like that. And there's nothing wrong with that person that was able to get that job out of high school, whether in a factory or whether in a warehouse or whether whatever. But you know what, that guy in the factory, the guy in the warehouse, the guy whatever, you know what they have in common? They have kids that need what? That need teachers. So it's all like, if you want this to be successful, you got to do your part. So to go back to virtual learning, yes, it sucks, but your kids are home. Figure out a way to make that beneficial to you. Your kid is around you more. Like, where in that is it negative? Do they belong in the classroom? Yes. Will they learn more if they're in their classroom? Yes. Do us teachers want the kids back in the classroom? Definitely, because it makes our days fun, and we legit like seeing that kids and that interaction. We wouldn't do it if we didn't. But you got to take everything with a grain of salt, and you got to look at the silver lining of this. Your kids are home. You're there with them. You're able to get to know your kid on that level that we can never do. We always complain like, hey, kids, what's the worst thing, you know, that you hate when you go home? They're like, oh, I got nobody to hang out with. You know, I'm just in my room. Like, my mom and dad come home, they're tired from work, and they just want to be by themselves. I don't even see them. Or, you know, like, they don't even talk to me, or they don't even do anything. Well, it's like, you got no excuse now. Your kid's literally home 24/7.
Yeah.
He's there waiting for you. Go take advantage of that.
Yeah.
It can no longer be just like, let's just drop our kid off and let the babysitter take care of it, and hope that we get positive results, and then just be done with that.
Yeah,
So,
my wife tells me the same thing. Take advantage of it. He wants to hug you. Take advantage of it.
hell yeah, you know. So this, but I mean, I can't wait for the kids to be back in the classroom. You know, it's something that is definitely out of parents and teachers' hands. Let the politicians figure that out. You know, people that got whatever vested in it. But it's just one of those where it sucks, but it is what it is, and we're gonna always just try our best, I think, as teachers to make sure that we do the best that we can with what we got.
Yeah.
Because nobody prepared for this, and if you said you prepared for this, you're a liar. Nobody prepared for anything virtual learning unless you're already doing virtual learning as a college professor or something like that. Then you were prepared for this, but this was literally thrown on our laps at the last minute. You know, I gave a test the last day that I had class because I didn't know that we were going to have school. I thought, I was like, okay, it's just a Friday the 13th, March 13th. You know, I was like, okay, kids, this homework assignment is due next Wednesday, blah, blah, blah. I was walking in the parking lot and they got a loud sound. It was like, if there's any teachers still on campus, meet in the staff room for an emergency meeting. I was like, okay, let's go. All right, go back over there. Maybe what did they cut from our budget this year? You know what I mean? Like, what can't we order this year? What did they cancel from? What after school program did they cancel this year? And they show up and they're like, okay, the after school program we canceled is called school. Take the next 6 months off. You know what I mean? Like that. So I was like, oh, okay. And it was just like that. It was like, okay, guys, we can't come back to school. There's this thing called Google Meet. Figure it out. Watch YouTube videos on it. We have no training for you.
Yeah.
We never expected this. Work wonders. And I'm all like, what the heck? Oh, I've never even used this software before. I don't even know what I'm doing. You could figure it out. And like that. And I was like, oh, God.
Yeah.
I don't want to destroy this kid's future. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do all this, man. Like, I gotta study. I gotta spend hours researching this because I can't. Because kids feast on teachers who are unprepared. They feast on adults who are unprepared. Kids are awesome because they don't bullshit.
Yeah.
They have no filter.
Yeah.
People always ask me, hey, how come you like teaching middle school? I'm like, because those kids have no filter. You know, elementary, you're like, do we have time for one more story? Quick little story?
Go for it, dude.
All right.
Ya que chingados.
All right, yeah. Ya me va la madre. No, so it's like, this
Just
teacher,
the longer episode, the longer I have to edit.
okay, my bad. This teacher, man, she has a daughter who was a third grader in Colombia. One of the greatest teachers I've ever worked with. Okay, and she's trying to explain to her daughter why she can't go to back to school night. Cause she's like, sweetie, I'm a teacher. I have kids that are gonna come in. I can't go to yours.
Yeah.
And then I pull the kid aside, and she's like, how come mommy won't go to back to school night? I'm sarcastic, you know me. So
Yeah.
I look at the kid and I grab her shoulders. And I was like, sweetie, it's because mommy doesn't love you. Mom laughs. I laugh. Kid cries, right?
Oh,
Natural reaction. And I was like, wait, I got to remember my audience, right? You tell that to like a high schooler, you're like, it's because mommy doesn't love you. And she's like, oh my God, mama's such a bitch. I hate her. Like that. They're at that age. They got it all figured out, whatever.
Yeah.
You tell it to a middle school kid, you're like, it's because mommy doesn't love you. You know, like middle school kids are like, yeah, my mom, she's a savage. She doesn't love me at all. But it's cool though. Like they hold zero grudges. They brush everything off.
Yeah.
Like you can battle with the kid on Friday, and on Monday it's like nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
And you just hit the reset button
But you
because they're
tell a
impressionable.
5-year-old.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, man, I can't teach elementary kids because they'll take things literal.
Yeah.
I can't. But I've taught elementary. I've taught high school. I've taught I've taught from kindergarten all the way to 10th grade. So it's like,
Yeah.
I've been able to see different, and I'm always like, man, like that age group in specific, those kids like have like, they'll raise their hand. I'm like, hey, what's up? They're like, this lesson sucks. When are we gonna learn something fun? I'm like, I respect you for that, but I don't say that to them in the back of my head. I'm like, shut up and stop complaining. And they'll like laugh, you know. High school, I'm like, shut up and stop complaining. What? You know, they want to fight with me. Elementary, if I tell them shut up, they're like, ooh, like that. But
tell
like,
mommy.
yeah, but like middle school, you're like, I know, shut up. Like, he's trying to teach. Like, they put each other in check, and I'm like,
Yeah.
man, this is hilarious. So it's like, man, I don't know. I want kids back. Thank you for having me, Andy.
Dude, I'm shouldn't have waited this long, bro. Freaking, I'm glad you came on. You freaking have made me laugh more than freaking Officer Ricky. Sorry, bro. You've been dethroned. And dude,
but how do you find comedy in police work? You know what I mean? Without being, so I was beating the shit out of this guy the other day. Like, he had an over the
Dude,
library book.
we gotta
not
do
on
it.
my watch.
We gotta do this again, bro. It's freaking awesome. It's freaking
Sure, man.
amazing. I got
Definitely.
some Belching Beaver seltzers for you, and like I end every
lovely.
podcast, bro. Thank you for riding with me, man.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to Ride With Me. Thank you for listening to Ride With Me, the Flat Tire Indie Podcast. You can also listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, and Podbean.